Okay, folks, so this exercise, we're going to be looking at 3 different types of activities in our daily life, and how we can balance between these different activities so that we feel nourished enough and we have enough energy to then be able to go out and do things that take our energy. So the first thing to do is to write down your timetable for the day. So write down what you get up to during the day. You can write the times, or you can just write sort of the activities that you do. Choose any kind of day. It can be maybe like a general weekday, for example. So it'll look like something like this. Okay, so on an average day, this is what I aim for. I'll be completely honest, usually by the time I get home, somewhere in between here, between making dinner, my time just seems to evaporate, or I just don't have the energy ready to do anything constructive or to think of something fun or useful or nourishing to do. So yeah, this kind of space is a little bit of a vacuum at the moment. Anyway, but it's fine. Pop that down, whatever you have. Okay, and then you're going to do the following. So you've got 3 different, so all these kinds of activities, all the activities in our life can be divided up into 3 things. We can have D, which is depleting. So it takes energy. Right, it increases difficulty Okay, it's just generally it's just not fun. All right. Then we have achievement based. So those are activities that give us a sense of satisfaction, but they still take energy. Okay, so we're giving away energy here, and we're giving away energy there. Okay, and then we have N, which is for nurturing or nourishing. These are activities that give us energy. They might be calming, energizing, generally help us to feel good. Okay, so what I want you to do next is I want you to take your list, and I want you to label label which activities are depleting, which ones are nurturing, which ones are achievement based. Okay, so okay, so if I look at my page, I've made some notes here. So I've got D's, A's, so quite a nice mix of all three of them. But I've also made some notes because it really depends on what kind of activities, or sort of like what kind of approaches you're using towards the activities, what sort of how you're feeling about and how you're seeing your activity, as well as how you're doing it. So I'm definitely noticing rushing. So if there's a lot of rushing, it turns the activity into a depleting activity. Likewise over here, if I spend a lot of time on screens, especially before bed, it's depleting. So having a look at that, I can now think about and plan how I could change some of these into more nurturing activities. For example, lunch break is a great example. So if I take my lunch break and I walk, so say I go outside and walk, or I eat lunch slowly and savor it. Okay, so that turns a seemingly ordinary activity into a nurturing activity. Likewise, sort of after work time. Maybe if I plan it out a little bit more, say on a Sunday evening, plan out some nice activities, some lovely sort of activities for the week, then when I get there, then I've got a list of activities that I can choose from that'll help me feel nurtured afterwards. Sort of same here, if I go to bed and I'm rushing or I'm staying up quite late, then I am going to be depleted by the activity, which will then feed round sort of back to my morning. So the idea with activity is, or sort of with this task, is by writing down our day, we really get a clear visual of how we're actually spending our time and whether we actually have a balance between nurturing and depleting activities, because that's really key to how much energy we have and sort of how burnt out we feel. It's if we spend too much time on depleting energies and we don't actually give ourselves enough time to be nourished and to nurture, then of course we're not going to have any energy because we've done nothing to fill our cup. So it's not only helpful to us, but it's actually really important if we want to do those depleting activities. Sometimes there's activities you just have to do because they're part of life, even if you don't like them, even if they're a bit boring or frustrating. But to have more energy for those depleting activities, and to have the energy to approach those depleting activities in a more kind of open and curious way, a more mindful way, we need to make sure we have enough nurturing activities in our day, in our week, maybe, to replenish our energy. Okay, so it's quite an enlightening activity to do, and I'm curious to hear about your thoughts on this as well. If you are not, if you want some ideas about what kind of nourishing activities you can add into your day, then you could look at this page, sort of that we've done previously, where we looked at what are five key needs in order for humans to be happy and healthy, and then you could take some of those and put them into your list, or just even see how many of them you've got in there, and then you can also use some of those in this worksheet as well, where you list maybe the habits, the behaviors you're doing that are quite automatic and quite unhelpful to say when you get stressed out, but then you could also make a list of more nurturing activities here that you find quite helpful. Okay, so that's just a little extra. Okay, so 2 last questions to leave you with. If we can accept that there are some aspects of life that you can't change, how can we then consciously choose to increase the time and the effort that we give to things that nurture us, and to then decrease the time and effort that we give to the things that deplete us? Okay, so asking yourself the question, right, if we accept there's some things we just have to do, with the rest of the activities and the rest of the time, can we try and channel more of that time and effort into nurturing activities rather than depleting activities? The second point is the things that we can't change, so the depleting activities that we can't change. How could you learn to approach the thing that that you find depleting, maybe in a different way? So maybe practice by being more fully present with it. So even if you find it boring or unpleasant, maybe to see if you can bring the same curiosity and attention to those activities, the same way we did with the raisin, when we did the raisin meditation. So in the same kind of, bringing the same kind of curious observation to it and be like, what's actually happening here? What's this actually like? Okay, I hope you find this helpful, and I would love to hear some feedback, and have a good day wherever you are.